This is the Good Government Show.
In the past, people may have said things, but now with social media and the advent of such, people are more emboldened, and I think it's the cowardice of the keyboard. In our city's almost 70-year history, I'm honored to be our first woman and first minority to ever be mayor. The important thing is that I ran to do something, not to be something. Leadership is not just because you put a title on yourself, but for me, it's been being a public servant, and I take that responsibility extremely seriously and with great honor. I would tell people that I've never believed that you have to be elected to make a difference in your community, because there's so many people who do it every day, from my public safety officers to my teachers to my community volunteers to the students themselves. If you don't speak up for yourself, no one else will. And I think telling your story is important. That's why I'm glad to be here with you today.
Lily Mei recently left the mayor's office after 2 terms. That's 8 years as mayor of Fremont, California, and 16 years in city government. She was the first woman and the first minority person elected mayor of her Northern California Bay Area city. Welcome to the Good Government Show. I'm your host, Dave Martin. First, help us share the message of good government by liking us and sharing us where we are on Facebook, Instagram, and Blue Sky. Please share our show with your friends, and don't forget to review us. Let's get everyone excited about good government. Well, I got to meet Mayor Lily Mei toward the end of her 2nd term in her 8th year as mayor. She had a lot to talk about as she looked back on what she did and how she led her city before term limits prevented her from running for mayor again. Being in Silicon Valley brings lots of benefits, but lots of challenges. She said good government means building a city able to support businesses who both move into Fremont, but also grow and stay in Fremont. What's also impressive is her own story. The child of Chinese immigrants, she actually started taking college classes when she was only 12. Tagging along with her mother as her mother was in college. Lily Mei is an excellent example of an immigrant success story, as you're about to hear. As mayor, she started the Asian American Pacific Islanders Mayors Alliance. She also talked about the help she provided refugees from Afghanistan. We discussed what was in some ways just irresponsible smears. She talked about how as mayor she dealt with that. Listen to how she's reached out to other mayors and supports the work that needs to be done to deliver good government not just in her city, but across the nation. My conversation with former Mayor Lily Mei is coming up right after this. AI, the cloud, security solutions, all hot topics that are transforming how government works. Amazon Web Services is here to help government on the federal, state, and local levels figure out what's next and what's right for them. Join Amazon Web Services at the DC Summit in Washington, D.C. on June 10th and 11th and learn from industry leaders. You can participate in technical sessions and get hands-on training. You can hear directly from AWS experts who understand what government needs and network with others who are working just like you. Get up to speed on the latest information and plan your technology future with the support you need and want. Register now at aws.com/DC Summit, and I'll see you in Washington. AI isn't the future of government, it's happening now. Let Polimorphic power your government with AI like other agencies are already doing. Polimorphic helps you power resident-first service to streamline requests while reducing staff workloads and speeding up how your citizens get answers. It's a secure system that's built for government. You'll see immediate results with more informed citizens. Want to see how AI can help you power a service-first government? Visit polymorphic.com. That's polymorphic.com. County government affects more people than any other form of government. That's why we like talking to so many representatives of county government here on the Good Government Show. They are the voice of public service. The National Association of Counties, or NACO, supports all 3,069 counties across the USA. This year, their annual conference is in Philadelphia in July. Plan to attend the conference and join them in their efforts to bring good government to America's counties. Check out the details at naco.org. That's naco.org. Welcome to the Good Government Show. I'm happy to have with me Lily Mei, the mayor of Fremont, California. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm delighted to be here, and I believe in good government.
Good. We like to hear that. I pronounced your name correctly, so good for me. We met, and the first thing you told me was you live in and preside over the happiest city in California or America. Yes?
That is what we've been told for 6 out of the 8 years that I've been mayor, and I'm delighted to be leading the city in some very tough, challenging times, but to maintain the happiness that is required for our community to thrive.
Now, every time I've seen you, you've been smiling. What makes your town so happy?
I think what makes our town happy is the people and the programs, and I'm an optimist.
For those folks who don't know, tell me where Fremont is.
Fremont is located in the Bay Area. It's the fourth largest city in terms of population in the San Francisco Bay Area in California.
Okay.
And it's the second largest in land size and bigger in land than in every city except for San Jose. Really?
That's a lot of people to make happy. How many residents?
It's about 235,000.
Okay. And everybody's in a good mood all the time?
No, I can't say that. I'm not Prozac.
Okay.
But I'm happy to say that there are many factors that help us maintain the quality of life, which I think many people are seeking for right now.
There are a lot of things that people love about the Bay Area, but there are a lot of challenges in the Bay Area. Certainly, we've all been reading about some of the problems in Oakland and in San Francisco. How have you managed to keep everyone's expectations high and happy?
Well, I think some of the factors that Wallet Hub, in conducting their study, look at are metrics in terms of the quality of life, the job opportunities, and providing the flexibility to ensure that people have the connections. So, for example, a company may look at our city because of the quality of the education that we have, which we have excellent schools, and I served formerly on the school district as a board trustee, and I chose it as a community member many years ago. I moved to Fremont almost 30 years ago.
Okay.
And even though
Where did you move from?
I was born in Chicago, grew up in Philadelphia, in the Valley Forge area. And so moving from the East Coast, I know that it cost more, but when I looked at the parks and the recreation and the close proximity to both San Francisco, San Jose, and Oakland, but then providing some of the community family friendliness, it really, even though I didn't have children at the time, I knew it was a place that I wanted to live.
Okay. And so you picked Fremont?
I did.
Okay. What industry were you in?
I was in technology formerly.
Then you're in the right place.
It certainly is.
And does Fremont have a large technology hub, center, industry?
Yes, it does. It has a primary base of over 1,700 high-tech companies and over 900 manufacturers. And I think that having that unique ecosystem allows for people to be able to explore different job opportunities, but also creates a lot of that robustness in terms of an ecosystem that allows companies to thrive. So we discovered that during the pandemic.
Yes. So what are the good government projects that you're working on?
So some of the good government projects are ensuring that our businesses, whether small or large, are able to continue to do well. It meant during the pandemic, for the residents, we were able to deliver $17 million in rental assistance, working through ARPA and other programs, and that served over 1,500 families in the moments of need to keep people housed. I think that you were talking earlier about the challenges in the Bay Area, and certainly not just in the Bay Area, but throughout the United States, but in the Bay Area, more notably, is the cost of housing. So the last couple of years, we're one of the 5 cities that helped build the residential housing needs goals, which means having different levels of affordability and different types of housing, whether it's transit-oriented development, which we have added a BART station in my tenure as mayor, or senior housing, which my children jokingly say, it's good that I planned for my own retirement.
They've already got a place who you have picked out, have they? Okay.
I think that they're just noting to me that as I term out, that I plan so well that if I should choose to, I would qualify.
You'll be okay.
I'd be eligible.
From what I understand, for a large part, housing has become almost unaffordable in San Francisco for most people. How has that affected your town?
Well, I think, again, this goes to our discussion earlier about the different types of housing. And so whether it's building affordable by design or building transit-oriented development, I think, and also the fact that, for example, one of the things that in the Bay Area they see a lot of is ADUs, accessory dwelling units. And for us as a city, we've also provided permitting that's a playbook so that people can get through the process more smoothly and expedite the permitting, because time is money, as you know, in any project.
Sure. And how do you from the mayor's office help people who are trying to do that?
Well, I think is also encouraging people and providing the resources and our staff reaching out. So, for example, we're going to have our State of the City in a couple days, and so being able to let people know about the tools and resources and accessibility to those in those times. It meant during the pandemic, providing also things like, for example, our small businesses. We have a small business ombudsman to help out. And so our economic development department doesn't just want businesses to choose Fremont as a location to start your business, but we want them to continue to thrive and be able to expand and grow.
And are you seeing people moving in and expanding business there?
We are. We're very fortunate. There's some companies that I can personally say that I've been involved with over the years, and I've seen them not just do one startup, but even up to 3 startups with us. And then the flexibility of the office space, not being traditional office space that you see in some of the other metropolitans you mentioned earlier, but having flexible warehouse manufacturing space allows them the scalability. So someone may come in and occupy the first floor of a building, but as they grow, they may just, because of the high ceilings and other areas, be able to have the flexibility to add a second floor. So that creates efficiency, and it creates the ability to stay put, and also to create those relationships that are critical when it comes to building out your business, so that you have a supply chain, you have the logistics, and that allows people to, again, as I said, be more productive. And more importantly, you mentioned earlier about the quality of life.
Yes.
Having a good quality educational system. We're one of the top 5 cities for women in STEM in the Western United States. I myself, you said, how can you get involved? I love being involved with some of our companies, whether it's a community college and also involved with Society of Women Engineers, or our Introduce a Girl to Engineering Day, or Mother's Daughter Science Discovery Day.
Is that a program? Introduce Girls to Engineering Day?
I do it every year.
My wife has an engineering degree.
I work with Tesla to work with our local students.
Okay.
I work with Ohlone College, and there's some professors and different programs there, Dr. Rose Margaret Atua, and others who I think it creates, I think sometimes you have to see it to be it. And as a mom of 2 engineers as children, I have a daughter who is an engineer, and I think that, how you get people to be aware of these types of programs is to provide them exposure. I myself was fortunate enough, my mother, just to let people know, also was immigrants, and we have almost 50% of our city being immigrants. When she came to the country, she had studied foreign languages and wasn't able to secure a job in that area on the East Coast, and she went back to computer science. And much like many working moms today, didn't have the resource of having childcare. And so I went with her to class, and I picked some of it up. And so it's a long story, but when I was in 7th grade, I wrote a software, and my teacher actually failed me in it.
Why?
That there's no way a 12-year-old wrote this. But my mother was kind enough, and my university at that time, or now, it was Westchester University now, but community college was not aware enough to not let a 12-year-old enroll. So I started college at 12.
Really?
But I didn't go full time. But by the time I finished high school, I had about 12, 13 credits, almost a semester of college under my belt. So I started working for what's now Siemens Healthcare Information Systems when I was 16.
So did you and your mom get degrees at the same time?
No, we did not. My
okay.
mom did get a degree in that, and unfortunately had struggles with sometimes interviewing and other things. But it's a long story. This is where we have to build investment and outreach to our students, and that's why I'm proud of these types of programs. Shared Medical Systems at that time, their executives, the CEO, was a Boy Scout. And so I am not just a lifetime Girl Scout, I'm also a Boy Scout. I was an explorer in the 80s.
Wow.
I was the only girl in my computer science club at that time in that club.
So you're the child of Chinese immigrants, yes?
Yes, I am.
Did your parents ever envision their daughter would become a mayor?
I don't think that was necessarily the path that parents would have traditionally chosen.
Yeah.
But I think what was something that my mom spoke to me on is that even as immigrants and not being familiar with the educational system as a child, my mother inspired me because she always helped out in the classroom and was there. And I carried that same vision when I joined as a PTA parent.
Yeah.
Oftentimes people will feel hindered by language skills or educational awareness of the systems. But all I told them is that you have to love your children. That's all they need to know.
But you are the poster child, really, in some ways, for, the American success story.
I feel grateful to be able to represent our community. I didn't mention earlier that in our city's almost 70-year history, I'm honored to be our first woman and first minority to ever be mayor.
They must like you.
I feel they like me enough that I guess I was elected.
Yeah.
And I was reelected with more votes than I came into office on.
All right.
So I hold the record for first and second place in our
good
city's
news.
history.
We talked a little bit before we turned the mics on, and how shall I put this? It seems from what you're telling me that you've been sort of the subject of some, underhanded politics. How does that affect your ability to lead, and what's going on?
I think the important thing is that I ran to do something, not to be something.
Okay.
And I think that the identity is something I take pride in terms of my heritage and my culture. But when you're the first, you also learn to be resilient. And that's one of the things that I think that my city takes pride in, whether it's our infrastructure or its mayor, is that when you're faced with challenges, I jokingly have told people that I don't run away from anything. The only thing I ever run for is office.
Okay.
So.
But you've had, from what you told me, I mean, you've had people just, out and out lying about what you're doing and threatening you.
I think that in these last couple years, and I've been in office, this is my 16th year in office.
Right.
What I've seen, unfortunately, is that with COVID and also being more on social media, in the past, people may have said things, but now with social media and the advent of such, people are more emboldened, and I think it's the cowardice of the keyboard. But that's why I'm privileged to serve, and I'm here with the Conference of Mayors. I feel inspired because I realize that this is our moment to speak out and to speak up for others. And if we don't do so, then it will never change.
You were on one of the panels, I believe. What were you talking about?
I will be on a panel later today.
Oh, okay. It's
Yes.
today?
Yes.
Sorry. What is your panel discussion?
So I will tell you that being the first in our city as the woman and minority and Asian, I discovered that for many years here, like many conferences, I was the state president for Asian school board members for California. I was on school board before.
Okay.
And then for National League of Cities, I was also the president for Asian municipal elected officials. But here for many years, and the Conference of Mayors has been around, this is their 92nd year.
Right.
They've had a Latino Mayors Alliance, a Black Mayors Alliance, and while I'm honored to be our city's first, I didn't realize till I was elected and someone said, hey, have you seen yourself on Twitter? In U.S. history for big city Asian mayors, women mayors, I'm the third in U.S. history for big cities. And so knowing that, I think it's like a great privilege, but it's also a great responsibility. And I feel so humbled. I serve on the advisory board here at the U.S. Conference of Mayors.
Okay.
And a year and a half ago, I asked my fellow leaders on the board, would you help me form the Asian American Pacific Islander Alliance for Mayors? And they joined me in that. And this is my third meeting. The first meeting we had Erica Murtsuga speak with us.
Okay.
The second one I had Secretary Sue and Daniel Coe from the White House. And then this one we're going to try to build some more bridges with alliances that are out there and already in organizations, because I feel that I'm so happy to be able to represent, but I also am selfish as a mom and as a community member to think it's more important to build a pipeline. And when I say that it's an Asian American Pacific Islander Mayors Alliance, it doesn't mean yourself being that identity. It means that willingness to make sure that the voice of your community is being heard. I mentioned earlier that 50% of my community, almost 50%, are immigrants, but we have one of the largest Indian population, East Asian Indian, a large Chinese. We also have one of the largest Afghan populations outside of Afghanistan. That's why I take great pride that during the changes on the federal policies and people are pulling outside of Afghanistan and the transition for so many of the immigrants, our city rose up to raise an Afghan refugee help fund, and with partnership with our staff and our community members, and raised over almost $500,000 to help out not just the Afghan refugees in our city, but in surrounding cities. And I mentioned earlier, you met one of my neighboring mayors that I said fun, Fremont, Union City, Newark. So it was our three cities plus Hayward. So we helped raise money because we know how hard it is to transition, having been through those experiences ourselves and seeing that we need to be a compassionate city that would stand up and help others.
And while we're talking, we're here at the Conference of Mayors. The mayor of Santa Monica came by and gave you his full endorsement. So
yes,
I guess you're well known in California. Are you in touch with the mayor of Boston?
I am.
And what advice did you give her?
Well, I think that, it's interesting.
Michelle Wu.
Yes,
correct?
Mayor Wu.
She's Mayor Wu, and she is the first woman and I think the first Asian woman to be elected mayor of Boston.
She is.
Yes.
I think that we each come with our own outreach and our own experiences. And just to let you know, it's funny when you said Mayor Wu, because I don't know if you earlier here at this conference, there also was Mayor Lily Wu from Wichita, Kansas.
Yes,
and she's also
we spoke to her earlier.
The first. And so I'm privileged to see that this is a start of something that I believe.
So you started a movement, I guess.
Yes. Well, I think that, again, it's that sisterhood. And I would say to her and any of my fellow mayors, be it Asian or just sister mayors or fellow mayors, I was sharing earlier today that as I was saying goodbye, because this is my last general meeting that I'm at for at this time. I may come back in the future.
We'll see.
But is that how important it is to build that allyship. Not all cities are lucky enough. I'm a general law city in California, which means I'm not the CEO or at the strong mayor, quote unquote, form of government that you see in some of my surrounding cities.
Is it a full-time job?
It is not supposed to be a full-time job, but I've served it as a full-time job. And
do you have an outside job as well?
This is my full-time passion.
Okay, all right.
And so I dedicated my life for the past 16 years to our community.
Okay. Are you looking forward to not being mayor?
I'm looking forward to whatever is the next chapter of what it brings to me. I am so proud of my community and all the things that I've done, but not because of what I've done, but because what our community has done together. It means that in these toughest times when we needed to, in the pandemic, to deliver food, to work with our nonprofit organizations, we have a Fremont Family Resource Center that brings together 32 nonprofit organizations, and it just celebrated its 25th year. But it's that type of willingness to get down and get involved. I'm proud of the fact you asked, what can we do about housing? Yeah. So we have a Habitat for Humanity project in our city, and I'm proud to say I can literally say I helped build my city. I've dug trenches, tied rebar, nailed 2x4s, climbed scaffolding, lifted drywall with the 49ers, worked with our women's leadership build
day. With the 49ers? Okay.
Yes, I did. Painted trim with them.
It's nice because they're bigger boys.
Yes,
and
they're a little bit bigger than us. But I'll tell you, I was teasing them while they were painting the trim. Their hands are probably a lot more valuable than ours. But we lifted 600 pounds of drywall together as women.
All right.
And so...
Very nice, very nice. All right, in just a minute, we're going to get to the true heart of your philosophy on government.
These are difficult times, and if you believe in justice, progress, and democracy, the news you read and listen to can be pretty depressing. And that's why there's a new podcast called Good News for Lefties and America. Every day it features positive news stories for progressive listeners. Because no matter how disturbing the headlines might be, there's always hope we can build on for a better tomorrow. Good News for Lefties and America. Listen on this platform at goodnewsforlefties.com or wherever podcasts are heard.
We call this the Good Government Show questionnaire. We're going to get to the heart of your philosophy on government. Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Define good government.
Good government for me is one where we listen to the community members and that we provide the programs and resources that people need to ensure that their lives are what they deserve. I think growing up in Philadelphia and looking at the Constitution and seeing governments also, I mentioned I was a worldwide sales controller in other countries. I feel privileged to live in the United States and to value the fact that we have community members. We just heard also from here at the conference from West Point, the fact that people are willing to sacrifice their lives and dedicate that integrity and responsibility and show proven results and accountability for the people that they serve.
Okay. How do you judge your success? How do you know if you're doing a good job other than being reelected? How do you judge it?
I think that, that is one of the key measurements is whether or not you're reelected. But it's the little things that have motivated me over the years. It's the fact that I feel so humbled. A couple months back, I had a college student come back and tell me, I've traveled now to other places and I finished my freshman year, but I wanted you to know that I come back home and I feel so fortunate to have grown up there because it's the diversity of heritages, cultures, the acceptance of others, and the fact that you care enough in these time periods to not just walk away. I didn't mention that one of the things I'm most proud of during my tenure, and even though it's pretty controversial at that time, was our Housing Navigation Center. We had over 3,000 speakers at 3 different town halls, and the night of the vote, over 500 speakers. And while it was a challenge and controversial at that time, it passed our council unanimously. And since then, we've had a 6-month report, 1-year report, 2-year report, and we have a close to 70% placement success rate.
That's impressive. If the people of Fremont, the happy people of Fremont, if they feel like maybe they're a little bit unhappy, what should they do?
I think if they feel like they're unhappy, there's a lot of different things. We have an app that's created, but also we have town hall meetings, and they should come to our council meetings. One of the things I've always told our community members, whether it's residents or businesses, is that I ran originally because I felt sometimes our voices weren't being heard. And so we have town halls with our council members. We have public outreach. We have many different ways to have communications. In fact, when we did our active transportation plan, we actually did both biking and walking. And I believe in doing that alongside our community members so we can get real-time feedback. But if they weren't able to walk or talk with us that day, they're able to look at the maps and provide that feedback via surveys and other tools.
Okay. So you said 16 years in government. What would you like people to know about government from the inside?
I think what I'd like people to know about government is that what the roles and responsibilities are may not be what you think it is. There's no magic wand.
You're not Prozac?
No, not Prozac.
Yes.
And then also that I think it's hard sometimes because the way government functions, there's a delineation in roles and responsibilities between what's run by local transit agencies, what's run by local school districts, and that I think as mayor, sometimes the buck stops here.
Okay.
Because we're the people, and I think that that's where it's important. We're the people sometimes being local, that people see the most, that you see at the grocery store, and that you are the one sitting next to at a game, and that for the parades, that in your moments, when I'm out there during the pandemic, I was sitting out there delivering food boxes with masks on and regular clothes, and people know that you can be alongside them. Okay. I think that's what I think is important. It's not a leadership is not just because you put a title on yourself. But for me, it's been being a public servant. And I take that responsibility extremely seriously and with great honor and privilege of being able to serve my community.
Okay. What's the best part of being mayor?
The best part of being mayor, I think, is that every day is a new day and that you never know what's going to happen. And it could be a challenge. It could be great blessings. But it's the fact that you get to help shape your city and hopefully make it a better place than it was the day before.
What's the hardest part of the job?
The hardest part of the job is sometimes, like in this moment, knowing that you have a time limit and that you can only do so much in your time.
Okay.
But I would tell people that I've never believed that you have to be elected to make a difference in your community, because there's so many people who do it every day, from my public safety officers to my teachers to my community volunteers to the students themselves. Are you going to be sitting in the front row the first week you're not mayor? I don't know if I'll be sitting in the front row, but I can guarantee you that after investing this many years of my life into the city, I will not be shy about sharing my feedback if I think there needs to be heard. But I realize also how important it is to have that rotation of different people, because different leaders bring different experiences, expertise, and I'd be happy to advise and support anyone who's in that role to ensure that they are best prepared. Okay. So you make news in Fremont. Where do you get your news? Where do I get my news? Yes. What do you read? What do you pay attention to? I read all different types of things. I read social media, but I also importantly read news that are, like, for example, our local news. I have the Tri-City Voice, which is one that covers our local news, who's just actually, their editors just decided to retire, and I apologize. I'm here today, actually, because they're having their going away party. Oh, all right. But I also did you send your regards, Subway? I did. Good. But I also think that there's local newspapers like Silicon Valley Business Journal, so I get different perspectives from different lenses. Okay. And I think that's important. But I also think that I get the news from my community members themselves. They tell me how they feel. They reach out to me, and they write emails. They come to our meetings. Do you read about yourself? I do. And sometimes it can be very hard. It's very, it's very humbling. I'm sure. Yeah. Okay. So, who inspired you to get into government service? Who's your political hero? Well, I think as I mentioned, my mother is my hero, but I also mentioned that I grew up in Philadelphia, and for me, I loved reading as a child, and I loved reading biographies. Okay. And I always wanted to know how people could make a difference in the world, and so one of my personal heroes is Ben Franklin, which is not a perfect man, but he's somebody who made inventions, whether it's bifocals, fire stations, Did you libraries. Watch the recent series on him? I did not. I apologize. Right. That's okay. But so I think Michael Douglas plays Franklin. Okay. Yeah. I think that being somebody who can make the world a better place even after you leave and not have to take credit for it is something that's honorable. And I think that that's something I would have loved to have done. And I feel like in these last couple years, it gave me a great opportunity to be at the forefront of that. Okay. Well, he was certainly a great Philadelphian. Was running for office or public service something you thought about even as a kid growing up in Philly? Were you senior class president? No, I was not. I was a very shy child, And actually,
I don't believe that.
I was.
Okay.
I was very nerdy and
You
shy.
got over it.
No, I think that sometimes life forces you to come out of your shell.
Yeah.
Because if you don't speak up for yourself, no one else will. And I think telling your story is important. That's why I'm glad to be here with you today.
And you said one of the things we talked about a little bit before we turned the mics on is one of the lessons you learned from, some of the barbs you took was to speak up.
It is. I mean, as a child, I grew up at the end of the Vietnam War era.
Yeah.
And I've told people before I was stuffed in lockers. I've had my mailbox blown up, my tires slashed, and my window shot out as a kid. And so it taught me resiliency. It taught me how important it is to welcome people and to not accept hate and to be able to counter those challenges.
Currently, there seems to be a lot of discussion about immigration and who are the real Americans. What would you say to those people? Being now a mayor and a child of immigrants.
I think that we have a long history, and America, aside from the Native Americans, so many have come from ships, from planes, and made the journeys. Yes, right. And so I've always told people that I hope to be a bridge, and I'm very proud of my culture and the heritage that it brings. But it's hopefully bringing all the different best aspects of our community. Because in my city, we have interfaith Thanksgiving, we have interfaith culture worship, and other gatherings that allow us to celebrate the richness that brings us together, whether it's the food, the family, the education, and these are what makes our community special. Speaking
of food, what is your favorite dish in Fremont? Do you cook? Does your mother?
So I have to tell you that.
Yes.
I don't know if I have time to cook sometimes. We have had 2 years now the restaurant week in our city because I believe in supporting our small businesses.
All right.
And last year we had almost 50 restaurants.
Okay.
And I don't know what it says about me, but I ate at 27 of the 50.
It says you're a great, strong supporter of Fremont restaurant scene.
Well,
that's what it says.
After Restaurant Week, we are fortunate to have a city that also has a lot of great bike infrastructure.
Okay.
And also, as I mentioned, walking. Some of our community members really love the parks. And so that's one of the things that we also believe in is having, maybe after Restaurant Week, we need Exercise Month.
Well, whatever you're doing, folks, go to goodgovernmentshow.com and you will meet Mayor Mei. Obviously, whatever you're doing, if you're eating at 27 restaurants, you're doing it right afterwards. Is there any cuisine that you love, or do you always go back to Chinese?
I jokingly say I love seafood. I see it and I eat it.
Okay.
So, I have affinity for many different types of food, but I think it's that ability to try different things and to experience the different cultures that, they say if you share a meal, you bridge that distance between one another.
Where's the one place I have to go when I'm in your town?
You have to come visit me at City Hall.
Okay. Last question here. This is the Good Government Show. We always bring it back to good government. Give me an example of good government in Fremont.
I think good government Fremont is our ability to, like I said, in the Fremont Family Resource Center, and I'll give another example real quick. I wanted to say that when I had a choice coming in as a mayor, I could have built our City Hall. And we had funding only for one of two items at that time. But we've been 5 small towns that came together 70 years to form a city. And so I decided to build our downtown event center instead, because I knew that while some people would love to have a city hall and it'd be a place to sit, it's not as important as it is to give back to the community a place to gather. And so that has turned out to be a true catalyst for us. It's a beautiful downtown event center, and we've had over 800 events there. And it's been the best decision I've made because I think it's a catalyst that helps our community move forward.
Mayor Lily Mei of Fremont, California, the happiest place on earth. It was great to meet you. Thanks for talking.
Seeing you too.
It was great to have you. Thank you. The Good Government Show is sponsored by Our. That's OUR for our community. Get involved. We hear that all the time from government leaders. Our co-brands with your government's name and logo. Your staff and the people you serve are connected and part of your community. From any device, your members provide reliable data and meaningful feedback. Ask a question like, do we want more parkland or better homeless services? More engaged conversations come through the Our app. Visit Ourco, that's OURCO.com, and book a demonstration. After you get done with this episode, hear more good government stories with our friends at How to Really Run a City. Former Mayors Kasim Reed of Atlanta and Michael Nutter of Philadelphia, and their co-host, journalist and author Larry Platt talk with guests and other mayors about how to really get stuff done in cities around the nation. Check them out where you're listening now or through their nonprofit news site, thephiladelphiacitizen.org/podcasts. Building homes with Habitat for Humanity and the San Francisco 49ers. That's a mayor who rolls up her sleeves to get to work. And lifting up 600 pounds of drywall with help, but that's getting the work done. And I have to point out one comment she made. She calls it, quote, the cowardice of the keyboard, unquote. It's easy to criticize, but to make a change, as so many mayors and city leaders say, don't hide behind social media, get involved. A good 8-year run in one of the happiest cities in America, thanks to former Mayor Lily Mei. Well, that's our show. Thanks for listening. Please like us and share us with your friends and review us right here where you're listening. And check out our website, goodgovernmentshow.com, for extras. Help us keep telling stories of good government in action everywhere. Join us again for another episode right here. I'm Dave Martin, and this is The Good Government Show. The Good Government Show is a Valley Park production. Jim Ludlow, Dave Martin, that's me, and David Snyder are the executive producers. Our show is edited and produced by Jason Stershic. Please subscribe, then share us, and like us and review us. That's the best way to make sure we're able to keep telling these stories of our government working for all of us. Then listen to the next episode of The Good Government Show.